Here's a brief presentation about how to give killer oral presentations, or at least how not to give horrible ones. When you're planning a presentation, you should consider what the goals of the presentation are. Are you trying to update someone in authority over you about a project? Are you trying to propose something? Or, as is often the case in classroom presentations, are you simply trying to share information about a project? In any case, the goal of the presentation should shape the presentation. If you're trying to propose something in a presentation, or to represent a proposal in the presentation, not exactly the same thing, then your presentation will take the shape of a proposal. If you're reporting on the progress of a project, you'll remind the viewers of the nature of the project, highlight achievements, and lay out what remains to be accomplished. If, as in the case of the presentation you're making for this class, you're trying to share information, you want to lay out that information as cleanly and clearly as possible, keeping extraneous or distracting information to a minimum. A good presentation usually combines the oral, the textual, and the visual. One of the best presentations I ever saw featured a presenter who used PowerPoint, but it had not a single bulleted list. Rather, he used the PowerPoint slides to visually enrich the presentation. The images and text were related to what he was saying, but they weren't an exact replica of it. I felt like my brain was working on more than one level. So the trick is, what will be best understood if you say it aloud? What visuals can enhance what you're saying? Are there textual elements that can highlight what you're saying or that will create a reinforcing dialogue with what you're saying without distracting the listener? Practice your presentation, but you shouldn't practice it to the point that there's no life left in the presentation. Remember that the presentation is an act of communication. You're talking to other human beings and you have the opportunity to help them understand something. If you're using a slideware presentation, you can usually embed notes that only you can see. You probably don't need a full-on script, but if you use one, practice it until you can be comfortable looking up and speaking to your peers. Word about PowerPoint. Like lots of software programs, PowerPoint wants to design your presentation for you. Don't let it. Use the slide as an opportunity to enhance what you're saying, not repeat it verbatim. And think critically about the bullet. Is what you're saying really enhanced by a bulleted list? Be creative enough to try something different, or if you're not up to creativity, it is the end of the semester after all. At least know that using the bulleted list as the default of PowerPoint might mean that you're being grown in a pod and your energy is being harvested by the matrix.